Let's talk justice. How do you define it? One definition I like, because it's simple, is to give someone what they deserve, or more eloquently, to give one what is their due. But how do we determine what someone is due? A retributive form of justice answers this question by focusing on action and punishment. Our criminal justice system in the US is like this. At its root, it says, if you commit this action, then you'll receive this punishment because this judge and jury believe that's what you deserve. Most people are pretty familiar with this style of justice, but is it ideal? What should be the goal of a justice system? Retributive justice looks at the harm created by someone's actions and then enacts some equivalent harm onto that person in order to balance the scales. Should our goal be to create a balance of harms? It's an eye for an eye mentality, and in its most final and fatal form, we get capital punishment, the death penalty. Now, I and the rest of the Rehumanize International team believe that the right to life is inalienable. Obviously, this means I oppose the death penalty, because I believe that a person's right to life can't be revoked because of some extrinsic factor like guilt, even if that person is guilty of murder. So let's talk about guilt for a second. Guilt and moral culpability are on a spectrum. On one end, we've got the child in the womb, or a newborn infant, someone who is perfectly innocent. On the other end, we've got serial killers, or a dictator who's responsible for the deaths of millions. And the majority of humanity falls somewhere in the middle. In order to justify capital punishment, a line would have to be drawn somewhere along the spectrum to decide which human beings are guilty enough to deserve death. Can we trust the government to draw that line? Now here I'd like to add a little caveat, because I feel like I might get the question, well, isn't this similar to self-defense? We have to keep society safe from violent criminals somehow. I firmly believe that every person has the right to protect themselves from violence. You're allowed to do what you need to, within reason, to keep yourself and your family safe from violence. But the death penalty isn't making anyone safer. The widespread availability of nonviolent ways to keep society safe renders capital punishment unnecessary. It's not even effective at deterring crime. If we look at states which have abolished the death penalty, and we compare their crime rates now to their crime rates back when the death penalty was supposedly acting as a deterrent, there's no difference. At best, its continued use amounts to useless vengeance. At worst, it opens the door for deadly discrimination, which is what I'd like to get into now. The statistics. These are the results of giving the state the power to determine who deserves to die. Since 1973, over 160 former death row inmates have been found innocent and exonerated in the United States. To reiterate, I don't think the guilty deserve to die, but the fact that our system has allowed that many innocent people to make it all the way to death row shows just how broken it is. Even one innocent person executed is too many. And while it's not clear exactly how many people have been wrongfully executed, some studies estimate that the innocence rate could be as high as 4%. Even among the guilty, the death penalty isn't applied consistently. Chalk it up to human error, sexism, racism, or something else, but not all perpetrators are charged equally. Men make up 98% of people on death row. Minorities make up a disproportionate percentage as well. And it's not just the skin color of the perpetrator that makes a difference. A study in California found that those convicted of killing white people were more than 3 times as likely to be sentenced to death than those convicted of killing black people, and more than 4 times as likely as those convicted of killing Latino people. Recently, I got to attend a talk by Anthony Ray Hinton, an innocent man who spent almost 30 years on the death row of my home state, Alabama. That fact alone is outrageous, but the part of his talk that hit me hardest was when he said this. I wish I could tell you that the state of Alabama made an honest mistake. I wish I could tell you that it had nothing to do with the color of my skin. But his prosecutor was quoted as saying this. The death penalty is fatally flawed. It's a waste of money, it's a prime example of government overreach, and it's just plain unnecessary. At Rehumanize International, we believe that our worth isn't based in extrinsic factors like guilt. It's based in our intrinsic humanity, so it can't be revoked. That's why we advocate for a restorative approach to justice. We believe that the goal of justice should be a restoration of community, So that way, when harm is done, we can work to meet the needs of the victims' families, and the perpetrator, to reduce recidivism and promote the dignity of all involved. Thanks for watching. To learn more about the fight to end the death penalty, or to learn how to get involved, visit rehumanizeintl.org or follow @rehumanizeintl on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube.